Hello everyone and welcome to our second video. Today we are going to share with you how to calculate your calories for weight loss. So these are for my weight loss clients. And you can even use this equation if you are wanting to maintain and whatnot too in terms of breaking down the macros. But today is the day that we are going to learn how to figure out our own set of macros so we can do this anytime we want. If this is the first time you are catching me, my name is Lindsay Orton, and I am here to share with you all the ins and outs of flexible dieting. This is Macros 101, and we are going to jump right into it. So today, again, this should be a pretty short video. Today we are going to learn how to calculate our calories for weight loss, and then from there we are going to figure out and learn how to calculate our own macros. So we do need to start by learning how to come up with our calories, okay? So it starts with calories. So this is gonna be one of the simple versions. There are more than one way to calculate macros. So I may share with you an equation today that you might learn something different tomorrow. There's several different ways, but for the majority of people, this is a great way to start. And then when you start getting more educated and really want to dial things in, then we can get a little bit more nitpicky and, do things a little bit, different, I guess you could say. Okay, so first things first, we need to figure out how many calories you need to be consuming in a day in order to lose weight, okay? So here is a simple equation. Are you ready? So what you're gonna do is you are going to decide what your goal weight is. And I'm gonna, let me pop up a little slide, okay? Before I get too into this, I'm gonna share something. Let's hope I get this. Give me 1 second. Let's see if we can get this. Okay. All right, here we go. First, we're gonna learn how to calculate our calories. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come up with our goal weight. So if our goal weight, we're gonna take 130 as an example. So say I'm 150 pounds, my goal is 130 pounds. So you're gonna start by taking your goal body weight. 130 pounds is my goal body weight. And next, we're going to multiply our goal body weight by 12. So this is for weight loss. So 130 times 12 is 1560. So we are going to be consuming 1,560 calories a day to lose weight. For some of you, you might be like, what? That is so many calories. And for some of you, you might be saying, oh my gosh, that is not many calories. But you do need to consume enough calories in order to lose weight. And I think that's where a lot of people fail, is that you are so low that you just completely screw up your metabolism. And there's a reason why you don't see results, right? So the goal is not to get away with eating as little as possible to see results. It should be the opposite. How much can I still get away with eating and still reach my goal? So going back to our equation here, your goal body weight 130, you're gonna multiply whatever that number is by 12, and this is your weight loss calories, the amount of calories that you need to eat every single day. Now that we have calories, we can break those calories down into macros. So where are these calories going to come from? So let's start with finding protein first. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take your goal body weight and you're gonna multiply it by 130 grams. You might be like, oh my gosh, that is a lot of protein. And for some of you, yes, it is. If you are someone, I will retract back a little bit too. If you're someone who has, if like 160 is your goal body weight, you might 160 grams of protein might be too much. So you could multiply your goal body weight by 0.8, and that'll give you a little bit smaller of a number. Most people should not do less than 0.8 times their goal body weight, okay? So if you're someone who maybe is a little bit bigger boned, you maybe don't want to get to be skinny mini, maybe you only want to lose 10 pounds and you're comfortable, say you're starting at 170 and you want to get to 160, which is totally fine for, a lot of people. 160 grams of protein might be a lot. So maybe go ahead and multiply that by 0.8 and see what you get. But for this example, again, like I said, this is just a really easy way to calculate your macros. And again, there's more than one way, but this is a good one. So full body weight times 1 is 130 grams of protein per day. And if you remember from our first video, we learned that 1 gram of protein is equal to 4 calories. So 4 times 130 is 560. So that means 560 calories of your 1,500 and something is coming from protein, okay? So that's where the calories in parentheses come from. So we take 130 times 4 equals 560. So 560 calories worth of your daily allotment is coming from protein. So we start with protein first. And now that we have protein figured out, we're going to move to fat. So your fat is going to be your calories. So it was 1,560. So 30% of your calories will come from fat. So we're going to take our 1,560 calories that we had to start. So that was our calories for the day. We're going to multiply that by 0.3, and that gives us 468 calories. So 468 calories is coming from fat. And you can't see, I don't think you can see, I think my face is covering it, and I apologize. But last video, we learned that there were 9 calories per gram of fat. So if you take, so we know that there's going to be 468 calories worth of fat. Divide that by 9, and that gives you the 52. So it's 52 grams of fat. So again, we're going to take our calories for the day, multiply it by 0.3, and that gives us how many calories from your daily allotment are coming from fat. And to figure out how many grams that equates to, you divide it by 9. And so in this case, we're going to be consuming 52 grams of fat per day. So now that we have those numbers figured out, so now we know that we have 130 grams of protein coming, or we have 130, we're going to be consuming 130 grams of protein. We're going to be consuming 52 grams of fat. Now we have to figure out our carbs. So now that's the last step. So your carbs are going to come from the remaining amount of calories that we have left. So again, we started with 1,560 calories. And now we're going to subtract the calories that came from protein, which was 560 in this example. And now we're going to subtract 468 of those calories coming from fat. And that leaves us with 572 calories left for the day. And last video, we learned that there were 4 calories per gram of carb. So we're gonna divide 572 by 4, which gives us 143 grams of carbs. So here are your macros. These are the macros that you are going to consume every single day in order to see fat loss. So every day you're going to track in your MyFitnessPal or whatever app that you're using, and you're going to set the goal in there. There's a little feature in there that lets you plan out and set what your calorie and macro goals are. So this is the goal that you're going to set in there. You're going to put 130 grams of protein as your goal, 52 grams of fat, and 143 grams of carbs. So those are the macros that you are going to hit. And when it comes to tracking macros, in order to know if this set point of numbers is going to work for you, you have to hit these numbers. And accuracy and consistency is key. You cannot be wishy-washy. There's no way to adjust your macros if you're not hitting your macros, right? So good rule of thumb is to be within 5 grams of each of your protein, carbohydrate, and fat goals. So if you're at the end of the day and you're at only 100 grams of protein, you should probably try to get one more good meal in then. Have a protein shake or some cottage cheese or something before bed, because less is not going to give you a better outcome. Okay, so until you are within 5 grams of each of those values and you're consistently every single day within that range, there's no way there's no way to know if this set point of numbers is going to work for you, and there's no reason to adjust them if you're not hitting your numbers. So you really want to be consistent and diligent in tracking and getting as stinking close to these numbers as possible. You don't want to fall short, just as you don't want to go too far over, right? Because in order to see weight loss, we have to be at a caloric deficit. And I didn't share this, and I should have shared this in the first video, but we need to be at a caloric deficit of 3,500 calories in order to see 1 pound of fat loss. Now, you might be thinking, well, then maybe I should just eat less food. That's not the goal either. So we want to have a realistic, healthy deficit in order to achieve that 3,500 caloric deficit over time. So most of you, with this being your caloric starting point, it's still going to be less calories than you're burning. And therefore, you will see weight if you consistently eat less calories than you're consuming, okay? And I'm gonna pop out of here. So that is that's the gist. And like I said, there are several ways to come up with your macro values, but in all honesty, the calories are going to be pretty close to the same. It's just where those calories are coming from that can sometimes differ, depending on what your situation is. But for most people, this is a really great starting point. Again, that is a super simple equation. Take your goal body weight, times it by 12, and that's the calories you should be consuming in order to see weight loss. And from there, you break those into your macros, which we just did. So if you have questions on that, maybe rewind the video and, step by step as I go through those numbers and, plug in your numbers as you go. And then you want to go into your MyFitnessPal, and now you want to track your food, and those are the goals that you should be aiming for. And that is the end of today. So that was a really simple one. Our next video is going to be talking about how to adjust your macros once you've been consistently tracking them, how to adjust your macros and when you should actually be doing that. So if those numbers work for you, there's no reason to adjust them unless they stop working. So I hope that was helpful, and happy tracking. Go and plug your goals into your MyFitnessPal or whatever food tracking app you're using. And now you can start aiming for those goal numbers, and maybe you're at a realization that, oh my gosh, I really need to eat more protein, or oh my gosh, I eat way too much fat. So now that you see what your goals are versus last week, you just kind of got an idea of what your baseline is. This is going to help you, on knowing what areas you really need to focus on. I feel like I was going to say something else, and now it has left my brain. But yeah, so start tracking. And again, next video is all about how and when you're going to adjust your macros. All right, guys, I hope you learned something, and I will talk to you next time. Thanks for tuning in.